Welcome to the Productive Introvert Community Podcast, helping ambitious introverts who feel deep down that they can add more value to the world to really thrive in their work. I'm Mariela Franker, and I'll be sharing what I'm learning as an introverted entrepreneur, a natural productivity coach, and a mom while I build my business online and take care of my family and myself. In this podcast, you'll learn the mindset and the practical steps to naturally increase the impact of your work while making space for your unique strengths as an introvert. In this episode, I wanted to talk to you about standing still to make progress. So the reason I chose this topic is because in the past weeks, or even the past months, I think from July on, I felt like I haven't been making a lot of progress in my business. Like I haven't done much for work. And I felt a little bit guilty about it, a little bit stressed, like, oh, I should be doing more. I should be, putting myself out there more. I should be more involved in the groups that I'm in. I should be creating more content. All these shoulds, right? And then I asked myself, like, why do I have this feeling? And what have I been doing with my time if I feel like I haven't been spending it on my business? And I realized a couple of days ago that my attention was elsewhere for the most part during these weeks. And I've been doing a lot of inner work by myself and also with other people. And learning new things also around my business. It is not as visible, right? When you're doing inner work or when you're learning new skills. It's not very visible on the outside. It's not very measurable. It's difficult to see where you are and the progress that you're making. So this was where the feeling was coming from, that I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And I wasn't doing a good job to kind of split my attention between all the things that were going on in my life. But so what I've realized is that, I hate to break it to you, but you can only place your attention on one thing at a time. So when you're doing a lot of inner work, or when you're learning new skills or developing a new service or product, or doing creative work, it's not very strange. It's actually very understandable that other things will go a little bit slower, especially if you don't have other people actively helping you out in your work yet. Like me, I'm still a solo entrepreneur doing a lot of things myself. So multitasking, right? We always think we can multitask and hold all these different balls up in the air. But the human mind can only pay attention to one thing at a time. And actually what we're doing when we're multitasking is that we're not doing two things at the same time. We're very quickly switching between those two things. So rather than multitasking, we could think of it more as multi-switching. So when your attention is being pulled in one particular direction, as it has been for me around inner work, it is very understandable that other things will slow down a little bit. And I know this can feel so unsatisfying if you're an ambitious person, you have a lot of things on your plate, and you also want to do a lot. It can kind of feel like you're stuck when you go through this. But please realize that sometimes you really do have to stand still to make progress again after. Especially when you're an introvert, or you're someone who self-reflects a lot, or if you're a sensitive person. Taking time to process the stimuli that we've received is the only way we can actually effectively deal with it. And it's taking time to process is also how we connect the dots, and we can decide our next steps. So I promise you that when you give yourself permission to stand still for a bit, it will really, really help you to take other steps again much faster, with much more confidence and efficiency. It will also help you to manage your energy and to do things that you want, but in a sustainable way over time, right? Because when we don't take that time to stand still, we tend to push ourselves beyond our boundaries, beyond our energy boundaries, into depletion. So please understand that this phase, this stand still for a bit phase, I'll call it for now, it is very, very valuable. Now, I know that when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel quite that grand, right? I wasn't feeling that hot in the past couple of weeks either. And one of the things that I noticed is that because other things slow down a little bit, it can also kind of mess us up. For example, I'm the type of person that when I'm doing a lot of inner work or when I'm doing creative work, it can completely absorb me. You know, before I had a family, I would work on one thing nonstop for days, weeks, sometimes even. Sometimes forgetting to eat, forgetting to brush my teeth. I would be completely in it. And of course, you don't want to completely forget all the people around you, and certainly still want to continue to take care of yourself. So there are a few things that can help you if you recognize this and you are kind of going through something like that. One of the things that can be that's really helpful is to pay attention to when you're in this type of phase, right? So recognizing when you're in your stand still for a bit phase, and what happens after, you know. When you recognize this, it makes it easier for you to open up to it and to accept it, knowing that it passes. It's kind of cyclical. And once you understand the role of this phase in your life and the value that it brings you, it is easier to embrace it when you're in the middle of it. A second thing is to have a few simple systems set up to kind of make sure that the minimal things you want to happen in your life are still taken care of. And this can help you get through this phase without completely messing up all the other things in your life. So one of the systems in my work is around how I write my emails. I write 2 emails a week to my mailing list, and I post regularly on social media. So the system that I have is very simply that I have a regular day in the week when I write. That's just my writing day. And usually for me, it's Sunday morning. And I love writing on Sunday morning. It's very quiet, and I just spend an hour or two writing whatever I need to write for that week, or just jotting down my ideas. And now that I've gotten used to that, and I've actually written already a lot of content, like hundreds of blogs already, I'm now able to kind of write multiple emails ahead of time. And those are all scheduled and ready to be sent out when they need to be sent out. So if I find that one week I have no time to do it, or something unexpected happens, then I don't have to worry about it, right? So that's kind of a little system that really, really helps me in my work. And one of our systems, I'll give you another example. One of our systems in our home is that we have a cooking schedule. So it took me a while to get to this stage. This didn't happen overnight. But now that we have it, it is so good. So we have a cooking schedule of 4 weeks of recipes. And after 4 weeks, it just loops. So these are recipes that we've collected over time that we all love, all 3 of us love. Even my toddler loves them, let's say, except maybe 1 or 2. But he is quite happy to eat them. They have all the things that we want from a healthy meal, loads of veg, protein, and carbs, you know, all that stuff. And they're easy to make, like half an hour cooking time on most of them. So I collected these recipes over time, and now we have these 4 weeks worth of recipes that we can just rotate. And 4 weeks, you see, initially I wasn't quite sold on the idea of having a cooking schedule. I found it too rigid because I love variation, especially in my food. So maybe that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get to this, because I kind of resisted the idea of it. But I tested around a little bit, and 4 weeks is enough for me to have that variation. And we can also sometimes, of course, we also do some variations of the recipes themselves. So it is not carved in stone, right? This is just a system to kind of help you. And it is very helpful for someone like me who can tend to forget to eat, because I don't have the mental space to be thinking about what am I going to cook tonight and will my toddler eat it. I know that he likes broccoli and he likes fries. So if that's on the schedule, I'm golden, you know? So even in those days when I have absolutely zero inspiration, I don't have to come up with something to cook. I don't have to spend energy on that. I just look at it, okay, what's on there for today? And I'll just put on some music or a podcast to listen to and just chop away for half an hour. And it takes so much pressure off that I would usually feel around cooking. So maybe you recognize some of these things and you think it could be helpful to you to at least think about what these things could be in your life. Like, I'm not saying that you need to have a cooking schedule, but maybe there are areas in your life that could benefit from like a simple system to support you when you're not inspired or when you need some time to stand still, right? And maybe I can help you. I help people one-to-one to discover which like simple habits or systems match their personal goals and also match them as a person, match their natural process. And I'm calling it your personal productivity roadmap. That's my working title for now. And you can put anything in there that supports you to live the life that you want, but in a sustainable way, right? So we don't end up depleting ourselves or stressing ourselves too much or burning out. There are still some spots left in this personal coaching program. This is a one-to-one program. And if you're interested to know more, go to my website, thefrankermessage.com, and send me a message. And we can talk about if this program is a fit for you and how I might be able to help you. Thank you for listening, and let's talk again next week. Thank you for listening to the Productive Introvert Community Podcast. If you're an introverted entrepreneur and you're ready to thrive in your own way, then connect with me on thefrankermessage.com/contact.